that's what they picked out.
Yeah, I know.
Ireland, it was, yeah, one of the great. He hadn't seen any family until.
I don't know, I'm not.
I wish that.
I'm not gonna say no, you know, but.
Is that where they are right now? Just a little girl was pushing the baby. She was getting up like she would. So it's probably right there. Have they built that other building yet? Well, I mean, okay, the next one, coffee shop. Okay.
Looking for more.
Oh, they started out. Yeah, I started. Sent us a picture last year. All the older girls were out. So Ariel was home. She wanted to, and I would take her to.
What's that?
Portland, Indiana.
That's where it was?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're staying in a tent.
Anyway, okay.
When we go there.
And she
We go to
wanted to be
Pennsylvania,
some, she
we
was
go to
thinking about her eyes or anti-pop or something, I don't know. She put them on and that's her picture. Oh my God. You know what?
Well, it's like legal there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think I should.
I know.
Way in.
I just don't remember sisters, you know?
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Please all rise and proceed.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Police report, looks like we've all got a copy. Fire report.
Well, we had a total of 28 runs, in July. Looks like 4 runs in the village, had a medical on Oak Street, medical on 2nd Street. Officer call up in Fox Hollow, and a medical on High Street.
Thank you. County Commissioner. Planning Commission.
We looked over and approved the Holman's sign application because it was under our size limits, size limitations. It was under that, so we went ahead and approved it for them.
We need to do anything over that. Okay. DDA.
I've got some stuff, would it be alright if I pass things out to you guys? Regarding the, what I have.
They're basically, what, asking approval to go forward with getting the pavilion started.
Okay.
Being that going on what is actually village property now, they have pretty much go through all the channels, get our
Just stamp on it.
pretty much approval.
It might be kinda hard to see, sorry, that's how they come out. But what you're looking at there is the, location after going back and forth between row and different builders and different excavators. That's where it was kind of decided would be best, for economically and for, location and aesthetically and stuff. as far as the location of the pavilion, and start the development of the, that property there. And so what you guys are looking at is the pavilion and then a parking lot adjacent to it, with a drive going all the way up from North Oak Street to the parking lot there.
Is this from the original driveway that was there?
The more northerly
It's
one.
the north one,
The north one.
because the original driveway with the slope and the run,
Yeah,
Too big a slope.
yeah.
too big a slope, and they can do, if they run it the other way, the water runoff, they can run that down into that
Catch basin.
small hole anyway.
Because we talked about trying to use that one you were talking about, that drive there, which is fine, but the problem is there's a hill and hill on either side. So we go through and put all the gravel on it, and the DPW guy's gonna constantly get off the sidewalks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you got doubles.
Yeah,
They try to take
typically people be like, oh, job security, but.
Yeah.
You're right,
So
that makes more sense. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure where that is.
right, I mean,
Almost directly across from our driveway.
yeah, pretty much. So this is the, right on top of, so this is the low spot here.
Where is that house that's?
So this is North Oak here, this is Lions Hall parking lot here.
You can kind of see the two big,
Because I know there's a house here.
Yeah, it's over here.
Oh, okay.
This is
you
right up.
see where the two big trees are by the,
Yeah, so.
over there?
Nope, if you facing, like that, so if you facing east to west. No, ma'am.
So they're gonna build a new one.
Does that have a man?
It's already a.
Nope, so that one does
So you
not.
just have to cut
So
it.
we talked to all sorts of different builders, plumbers, we got all these different quotes and stuff. We talked about adding bathrooms into it. And then adding bathrooms on with how it worked with running all the plumbing and doing all this other stuff could be $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to put bathrooms in the pavilion themselves.
Okay.
So then the thought being, get this done, this is not my consensus, but the consensus of the board, get this done, see how it goes, and then,
Add bathroom.
add
Separate
perhaps a whole
bathroom.
separate building,
Okay.
just for bathrooms. And then that way we can designate that, and it'd be much easier to try and, run stuff just to that, instead of trying to add into the pavilion, that sort of thing. Yep.
Is this gonna?
and basically they need our permission, because like the building permit and everything will have to go in the village name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through UA, but all.
Utilities to anything up there yet, or just
Just electric.
electric?
Yep, just electric.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, we're in talks right now to see if we can pull it from the transformer it used to be for the house right there, or if we have to pull from, when they ran electrical for the generator in front of Lions Hall, they added like a T in and capped it off, DC did. So we might have to pull from the pole that'd be like the very north part of this property.
North corner?
Yeah. So, yeah, right. Yeah, so we're in talks with DT right now, we're trying to figure out what, that would be best, but, you know what you're looking at? What's that? We've got a couple different bids, the building itself, I think is like 60,000, but obviously all your cost is in gravel,
Oh,
parking,
excellent.
and, yeah, all the excavation. And it's one of those things where, I'm sure you've heard the phrase like buy once, cry once type of thing, so, but we obviously want it to be nice and useful and, permanent, obviously, so you wanna spend the money now, put the nice drive in, put the nice parking in, so that it is usable in the future, and we're not, personally, I hate all the band-aided, stuff where you go, oh, well, we'll just do this for now, and then it never gets done later.
And it doesn't get cheaper.
Yeah, nothing ever gets cheaper. So, yep, so that's what you're looking at, pavilion, sidewalk.
Or you're still looking at starting this right after Metamora Days?
Yes, yeah, that's why we're here, to get your guys' stamp of approval and say, hey, yep, go right ahead, we think it's wonderful, we think that after all these years, it's great. Because that, we didn't wanna keep delaying things, and we'll just wait till next month, and, cause then all of a sudden it's in the 2025 already.
It's another year.
Yeah.
And more money.
Yeah, more money, and like Liz just said, doesn't get any cheaper. Yeah.
I know.
Is gravel or asphalt?
Gravel. Yeah, and that's why, we're in, with different quotes we've gotten from different excavators, it's been, some say, oh, we just need 8 inches of gravel. And then some say, well, just do a foot, it doesn't cost that much more. And, so you weigh the options, okay, if you do a foot and then you wanna asphalt it later, you just have to scrape off 4 inches of gravel off the top, then you can put asphalt right over. Where if you just do 8 inches of gravel right now, then you wanna asphalt it later, then it becomes a big deal because you need like 8
Yeah,
inches
to have a
of
better
base.
base.
They're trying to prep and do things right the first time
Yeah.
instead of, and
So
that's
we're
why,
not
you know,
doing them
Rose's
over
been
and over.
involved and,
Yeah.
you know.
So yeah, that's
That's true.
where we're at right now. But you guys, obviously need your wonderful stamp and say, go ahead, we think it's fantastic. And I know in the past, the DDA has not been the most communicative with the council, or,
Till now.
yeah, exactly. So we're trying to have a new wave, a new phase of, life and, board members and everything, so. So yes, that's where we're at. Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve this. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your stamp of approval.
And moved and seconded for the DGA to go forward with putting the pavilion up there. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now you're fun again.
Now the real work starts.
Wasn't a whole lot else that went on really at DGA, so. Attorney report,
Nothing that's not already on your agenda.
council communication.
I had one thing. A couple people brought this to my attention, it's probably a minor thing, but when you come down Dryden Road and you're good, before you get to Lloyd's house in front of the preachers, the sidewalk turns and the ground is very, very low there. Like, I can see a potential hazard, like before winter, if you don't see where the sidewalk is, someone might step in that and.
They ground the stump off, that's why the sidewalk goes like there was a tree.
Right, but you know where I mean,
It's
where the
settled,
thing is
yeah, it's,
way down, I mean, it's really settled quite a bit.
Somebody's property or in our,
it's on this side it's on our side.
okay,
The sidewalk.
Yeah,
Yes, it's on our
it's
side.
on the
of
street side,
sidewalk.
it's
I'm
not
sure we can have somebody look into that.
Yes.
It's
So
not gonna be cheaper.
I'm communicating with my fellow board members.
Just to bring your attention, because a couple people mentioned it.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Okay, need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public time. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first if no one else is. So I just want to say I hope that that parking lot, the gravel parking lot, includes a couple of paved spots, because that's kind of standard right now for handicap access. Because those vans, it's a lot easier to get wheelchairs out of vehicles if you have a couple paved spots, and that doesn't cost that much money. But it's standard. It's at Oakwood Lake Park. It's at a lot of different parks. I want to mention that if anybody's not getting the police report, there's been some heavy stuff in there recently. At the township meeting, Chief Davis has said that there were a couple sex crimes against children actually in the village here. One was turned over for prosecution. He was hoping to button up the other one. I didn't hear status, but that's big. And then in this month's report, there was a felony assault. So, you know, we were placed with problems too. I think it's important to keep up on it. And, you know, if something, I sure hope you bring something to everyone's attention if it need be. So FMV is here. I hope to, you know, you guys don't let us ask questions when these topics come up, but I do hope to hear something about the sewage smell, how that's going to be prevented in the future. Because when I talked to Spencer Matthews from Eagle earlier this year, he was pretty definitive that things were not running well out there. A couple months ago, I brought up, Tina, that things were not in compliance out there. And you said, no, that wasn't accurate. But this is, I'm reading from one of the public-facing documents. A total phosphorus reduction study was required to be commenced on March 1st, 2021. A study plan was submitted, but no results could be found in the portal. Request from permittee. And that was May 14th of this year that was filed. So I do hope we get some answers about things around here. Our water and sewer is very important, and what we went through with that sewage smell earlier this year should never happen. We should not be subjected to that. Things can be maintained much better. Now for the hold-ins here, I reviewed your application earlier, and I have a couple questions I hope you answer for us. Why was the place to put your dumpsters not accounted for earlier? Like, was that in your site plan? Was it not? Did it change? Did something happen? And is that something the planning commission missed and maybe should look for next time? So hopefully you'll answer those questions. And is this right near the Veterans Memorial that is right out there? Now, Mr. Denny isn't here, but I had some comments for him. There are a couple of complaints in your packet about the approval for the Metamora Country Days and Balloon Festival that went through last week. I personally think his actions were irresponsible. He did not review the insurance application. He encouraged, in my opinion, encouraged you guys to approve that application that was completely just erroneous and missing information. I had an expert put in front of me the other day an event application for another area, a large event. It was 20 pages of highly, highly detailed plans of what happens if there's something goes wrong, and the triage and everything possible. And that is what I am used to from doing events. And what you've been allowing here is absolutely subpar and should never be allowed again. You need to overhaul the application. You need to fix it. Please read those complaints. I have one of my friends surprise me by taking the 2024 application around to various municipalities and saying, what do you think of this? They were horrified. They were horrified at the lack of record keeping. They were horrified at the lack of requirements. And I would like to know from our lawyer, is there something magic dust that makes us less liable here in the village than, say, City of Lapeer that demands a whole lot more? Or North Branch or Elmont? Why are those places wanting detailed plans and wanting all kinds of information, but here we're just like, yeah, we've been doing it forever, it's fine. I would like to know. And I would tell Mr. Denning, and this is in my complaint, I would tell his kids not to go this year. He talked about his kids going for a lot of years. I would tell them not to go, and I'm telling everybody in my life not to go until this gets fixed. I love that festival, but until this gets fixed, it is just really not safe. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Greg Wise, 1213 Cow Road. And back on August the 6th, the voters of District 6 gave me the great honor of choosing me to be the next county commissioner for District 6. I thank all those who voted for me, particularly those in the Village of Metamora. Many in this room as individuals supported me, and that was greatly appreciated. I will try to be as transparent as possible. I'll be available for you. Also, on a more somber note, last Thursday, Don Brady Jr. passed away. And of course, Don was one-time assistant fire chief. He was the son of a fire chief. He's the father of the current fire chief. His funeral is tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock at Your Brothers in Lapeer. The family is receiving people from 10 to 11. He's been a great friend of Metamora, done so much for the township, and just want everybody to be aware of that. Thank you very much.
Amber Clark, 3927 North Oak Street, and more brown water this month. I do want to make a note that this bottle is 2 days after the water hydrants were flushed this month. Shortly after it came through the tap brown, it did have a heavy chlorine smell to
have transmitted that, and we have gotten confirmation that they have received it, but they have not responded, not provided any other response.
I think council ought to kind of think, and I've brought it up a couple of times before, next month, maybe putting some kind of a deadline on getting some answers, what's going on in this whole thing.
Because they're gonna wanna start this project, then they will live there, so it does go. But they'll probably have to, once we discoveries and everything are done, they're probably gonna end up putting it up for a year before they start.
The other thing, I'd kind of like to get our water issues straightened out before we end up opening a bigger can of worms, maybe, you
Yes.
know, so. But I know the attorneys are probably getting tired of it, and I know the council is listening to it, time to put a little fire under them.
They'll build
Just a thought for, you know, over the holiday weekend. New business, Bill Holden.
Good evening, Bill Holden, 16 East High Street. You guys all hopefully have in your packet a proposal that we would like to try and lease and or rent a small portion, about 96 square feet of village property to house garbage receptacles for tenants in our building, and it will be done very tastefully. So that's what my proposal is. Looking for you guys to have some insight on it, let me know. Oh,
If not placed there, where would the trash receptacle be placed?
well, we could, you mean on our property?
Yeah, I'm
And
just
our
asking,
village
like, would they
property?
just be out in the open, like up by the building, would
Yeah,
they be?
yeah, the whole, the whole theory is, if it's built in a very nice thing, we've been in Royal, Birmingham, to see how they do it in the cities. They do it very tastefully, and that's our whole goal too, because, you guys probably haven't seen, but this afternoon, we had a whole bunch of landscaping done by the old historic barn, so I encourage you guys afterward, take a walk back after the meeting,
It looks really nice.
see what
I
you
see
think.
it.
So we're really, really trying to make that whole area back there more of a park atmosphere. So, to answer your question, that's what the thought was, put it back there, so we don't have to take up the parking lot and have that ugliness, so.
And that'd be positioned right over by where there's a DT transformer, or
Correct,
whatever
just-
that block.
Correct, yeah, just north of that.
If you have
As
questions
long
on,
as it's not gonna interfere with any kind of underground electrical that they've already put in, or,
I don't believe it goes in there, we did a mistake.
I'm not for sure what's been done out there,
Yeah.
really. Myself, I'd rather see it kind of tucked away and, you know,
I do
where
know,
it's accessible for the garbage truck to get in and out.
Well, at this point, I already talked to Rick Ryan, and each tenant would pull them out and pull them onto the sidewalk area just south of the transformer. They'd get picked up Tuesday morning, then they'd be pulled back into the corral afterward, so. Try and keep things neat and tidy.
what would the exterior be of the storage area?
We're probably gonna do oak, either horizontal or vertical boards, we don't know yet, to improve fencing. We're trying to figure out which is gonna look a little bit better. So then you won't see, it'll be just that exposed with a whole thought
Mhm.
to match the historic barn, which we did, and then the beams on the new building, try and tie all that in, so. Unless you guys have other suggestions, I'm willing to listen.
Perhaps kind.
Well,
I mean, I like the idea of wood as opposed to,
Yeah.
and nothing against the White Horse's dumpster, but their dumpster with the plastic lattice
Well,
and
that's-
stuff,
yeah.
which is why I was asking.
well, we're trying to just, like I said, tie it all in so it has somewhat of a matching feel and looks decent.
We probably almost have to put some kind of minimum or at least per year or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there would
like we did over for the general store where they had like a portion of the sidewalk on our property. We didn't use no monetary amount, they just kinda did it for the liability, we got it on record for the liability aspect that way. If somebody runs into it or something that we're not liable for it. that
I'm all good for
thing.
$1, that's fine.
Okay.
And we leased some of the property to products, well, it used to be products, but that's a little different situation, they built right over these.
Yeah, longer ago.
Okay, I'm asking for permission, I'm not begging for forgiveness.
There's days it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
If this is something the council wishes to entertain, I guess my suggestion would be to have a conversation, give me some direction as far as duration, and amount on this, and then I would pull together some language, that, you know, obviously we need to have the lease hashed out and something that you're comfortable with and that the council is comfortable with. I hesitate to nail down everything without people actually being able to see the lease documents in front of them and
Sure.
review that, make sure everybody's comfortable with the terms. But obviously, I can't start drafting something if I don't have direction from the council as to what are you looking at as far as duration and amounts on this.
I mean, it's not an area that we're really gonna use for anything else, and
We won't have to mow that piece.
You don't have to know that piece.
I'm trying to save you guys money. So again,
Great idea, Dan.
the thought being, I'm trying to avoid a
part of the
conversation.
lease, they have to
Right.
trim around it.
So if we do like a few year lease just to see how it goes with renewable options, is that something we could look at?
So,
How long is the lease with the general store?
is that a lease or is that more of an easement?
That might be more
I'm wondering if that's
than
an
what we
easement,
did.
because sidewalks, often wind up being more easement
I'll have to look,
based than,
oh,
Yeah,
my
it's
files.
this is-
more of an easement.
this is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Just because of the nature of the use.
That I don't know.
And
How long is the lease, do we know, for the, product? Does anybody know?
Open-ended, basically.
Oh, is it?
Renewable every 5 years. I believe.
Okay, so 5 years.
Unless we go and cancel it.
Gotcha.
And so one more thing, not that it matters, but inside the corral would be like crushed limestone or something, so it, you know, it's not gonna be grass growing over the top of the 6-foot boards or anything like that, so.
You may not have to trim around it.
It'll be amazing.
What's council pleasure? I don't have,
Are you sure?
you know, it's not. To us, it's not a real valuable hunk of property.
Right.
I mean, and to make it look,
We squeezed all the parking we could get out of it.
yeah,
I personally would rather see garbage cans behind a nice wooden area than just sitting out all the time, but.
True.
So if somebody were to make a motion, it'd have to be based upon more.
It needs to make a.
we make up.
My recommendation would be, at this point, I mean, I'm assuming there's, if we come back and finalize things next month, that's probably acceptable, but I would suggest the council give me some direction as to what you're looking at for duration, as well as what the lease amount is. I can draft something up, present it to you, you can take a look at it, and then if everybody's comfortable with that, then it can be approved next month.
I'll look at it for you.
I got it right.
What if we make a motion that says, we call it 5-year open-end like products, and have you renewable at 5 years with the cent piece? Is that the way it should sound? I'd like to make a motion that we approve it and have him draw up something with an open-end lease and a 5-year renewable. They get what they need and you eliminate other.
We have to put some kind of a price in per year, like per year.
Right.
Like,
What's your advice?
And I think, I mean, my understanding of the motion would be more you're directing me to
$5 a year too much?
And then the 911 tower, we get $1 a year, so, I mean, right?
Now, in fairness, there is a difference with the
Right.
911
Oh,
tower as
absolutely,
well as the sidewalk, because those are general improvements. Everybody uses the sidewalk, everybody uses the 911
Correct.
tower. So there's,
The sidewalk
an
that
incentive.
I'm referring to is for their deliveries, for the
Yes.
store, it's not
Okay.
for general use.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fair.
but yes.
it's fair. Yes.
I think it's fair to say we're all gonna drink coffee back there, so.
We're all gonna still use it.
I hope everybody uses it as a general use.
So Lloyd, did you wanna make your motion with $5 a?
$5 a year, yeah. I mean, that's not too exorbitant, but it's not free. That's basically what they're looking for.
So we have a motion to approve the attorney to draw the lease, the open-ended 5-year term, renewable term at $5 a year.
Who's second to that? Been moved and seconded to have the attorney draw out the proposal for approval next meeting by Mr. Holden and council. All in favor?
Thank you, council, for your time.
I was gonna get to that once I.
Motion carried.
Okay. Got that set. F&B lumber issue.
Guess I'm gonna talk about iron. I guess y'all know our well one, we started getting some problems with it, reduced flow, some iron showing up in the water system. They had it mold inspected, turns out the casing has been damaged, and they say it's not repairable. We had a quote from Peerless Midwest to drill an offset outside the well house and off the corner of it. It was quite exorbitant. I did spend some time trying to track down some additional well drillers. I have no luck. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. I guess going back to the iron, well 3 is what is was the backup well. It's now our main well. It's been from the start in 03, we've had about 0.1 milligram per liter iron. I believe it's up to about 2.6, the last iron sample I drew out. And in iron, typically, we haven't analyzed for it like once a year, or just once a year. We don't typically track it daily like some systems do, because we haven't had iron issues historically. So that'd be the next step, to start tracking that. There are some options we could do. One is adding a polyphosphate to the water, which sequesters the iron, keeps it in suspension. The polyphosphate also coats the pipes and the iron sticks to it. That would help somewhat clear it up. There'll be some work involved in that, and obviously permitting is legal. It's fairly easy to do, pretty simple task. Even our chemical supplier we get our sodium hypochlorite from now carries the polyphosphates too. So the other option is to install some filters, which is costly. However, the filters, long-term, we have to be engineered if we're going to look at drilling a new well and piping in the well house. It may be time to look at installing some filters and doing some well house improvements. So that's kind of where we're at. I have been flushing more frequently. I've been flushing, there's a little hydropneumatic tank in the well house. That was kind of our backup for when the tower's down, still in service, the water flows through it. I've been flushing that out once a week, and it's been a little bit of iron coming out every time I flush it for a few minutes, and I'm wondering if maybe that's causing some additional flow through those mains, stirring it up a little bit, just back flushing that tank, whether I can start flushing it more often, it might help, but that will maybe show in a few weeks or so, if the iron reduces. The other option, I did flush, I think the one sample you said, a couple days you had iron in your water, a couple days after I flushed the mains, and I flushed that whole section of main from the Four Corners all the way through Jamestown, and I dumped half the water tower, so about 125,000 gallons that I flushed through. So, that's where we're at, and I'm wondering why it's still trying to determine cause of why seems to be a couple houses on North Oak Street, I believe a house in Jamestown. We add some chlorine or sodium hypochlorite to the water, it oxidizes the water. So it oxidizes the water, it's there to kill bacteria. That helps bring the iron out of suspension as well. So it's kind of a catch-22. You have to put some chlorine in the water to maintain a residual, mostly because it sits in the tower. But it may be precipitating out, and they may be at the distance from the well house where the water velocity is starting to slow down and causing that iron to kind of precipitate out. Or on Oak Street, there may be a dip in the main, causing it to settle out where their service lines are connected to the main. I'm not sure that would be, you need to excavate out the main and the service lines. The other issue is they were probably installed in the 70s, so, and I've seen it before in town. I don't know if it's the case there. When they tap the water mains, standard is to tap them on the top, or like the 9 o'clock position. The amount of iron that she's getting, I wonder if their tap is maybe inadvertently put in the bottom of the main, possibly. I have seen that in another location in town there too.
Short of excavating, there's no way to know.
We wouldn't know. No, it's not like a sewer pipe where we run a camera down and you can see, so. Meantime, I guess some suggestions would be some iron out salt if you haven't tried that yet, some yourself.
No,
Or-
actually,
We run that in our house
Oh my
too, and
gosh,
we
yes.
still have.
And I can tell you, a lot of the people that are having the yellow water besides my house, they're only seeing it in their white porcelain toilets.
correct.
They're not drinking it. So
Correct.
they're not noticing it the way I am noticing it.
The problem with the toilet is the water sets in the tank,
I
and it has
understand
an
that.
opportunity to settle out.
I understand that. But this is my running kitchen sink every single day that I run water through, every single day. So this isn't sitting, other neighbors, they go away for 2 or 3 days, then they come home and they have brown water. We never leave our house. The furthest we go is 5 houses north, so, and that's for a couple hours at a time. We have this, this is 4 different days, just in the last month since our last meeting. This is not the worst of the groundwater we've ever seen either. This is probably the best that we've seen.
Say it looks better after they've done all the heavy flushing, but to me, just remembering some of the other dams and stuff.
Exactly. This to
Brian,
me
you
is
think
still a
this
problem.
started when well one went down?
Yes, yes.
We've
Maybe
been in our
already-
house for 2 years and this has been going on almost a year and a half.
Longer than just well one being down.
Yeah, we
It was
started
happening
noticing it
before
when, before we had well one pulled out. When we had well one pulled out, the casing or the drop pipe, the casing, the column pipe for the pump itself had some significant rust on it at the water line, so some of the rust did come from that. And we do know that some iron has been coming out of well three historically. Since it was put in.
Is that old storage tank in the back still in service?
Still in service, yes.
You tried isolating that?
Yes, I have, I've
Okay,
isolated
I
it.
just-
It's,
Just one of them dumb questions
Yeah.
I hadn't heard,
and I do know the bottom of that tank is flush to the bottom of the tank. There isn't like a sediment lip in that tank. So that's why I've isolated the valve coming off the bottom of that tank. It has to get closed.
You said the filtering system is expensive.
Well, I'll have to probably get some engineer estimates. That's kind of the best I can do now.
But then you have to just about repipe the well house to do it.
Or add on to the well house and probably replace the old hydromatic tank, and there's a possibility that hydromatic tank could be converted to a filter as well, so you'll fill it full of medium, service the filters.
But really, the filtering system would be the
Ideally,
better
and I've
fit
seen, I've all noticed,
long-term.
2 years ago, well, 3 was at, what, was not effective, it was 3.16, this year, 0.26, so that may be an indication too that it maybe the formation is starting to put more iron in as well. Long term, filters may be the way to go. The other issue, the polyphosphate would be a quick short term. with the polyphosphates, as it coats up the pipes, it also coats the resin beads and softeners, not works. So it's,
What's it
Personally, I'm
inside
not
us?
for putting.
Yeah, what's that adding to
It's-
our,
it's all NSF certified. I'm not a chemist, I'm not gonna get into that, but you probably absorb way more phosphorus from a hand coat than you would from under close.
Personally, I'd rather see a filtering system than put more chemicals.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
filtration and prices
Yeah,
of
we
filters?
could start tracking that down. That,
I want another solution, not just another cover-up of,
Band-Aids.
yeah,
Correct.
Band-Aids. No more Band-Aids.
yeah, and I don't know. As we operate now, the water comes out of the wells, we put a little chlorine into it, and that's all the treatment that we do here. I can't flip a switch and clear it out, take the iron away from the iron and start accumulating. So whether it's accumulating more in a few sections, if there's low spots, that's a possibility.
So that, in my mind, says that it's a well problem, correct?
It's coming from the wells, yes.
Because they're failing. Is that what I heard you say?
Fail. Well, one did fail.
Okay.
We were running on well three, maybe the formation is picking up more iron. Iron is natural in the ground, it's not in the other, we could pursue some grants and things for it, but iron isn't, could be considered a health hazard.
And I
No
believe it's
maximum
over
contaminant.
3 parts per milliliter
Yeah.
is the legal limits, correct?
Yeah.
For drinking
Iron
water?
has
This
a,
was occurring prior to well one going down, correct?
And our current level is 2.6 now?
0.26.
One of the numbers you said was 2.6.
That's 2.6, if I misspoke.
Okay.
0.26.
What's the council pleasure, having tried to put together
I think
some
you
kind of
should get
pricing,
some
you want
pricing
filter system.
filters. That
Yeah.
seems like the easiest solution.
Now,
I guess my concern still is, why does it seem to be concentrated more of this in the town? Is anybody else coming in complaining?
If you have periodic, especially like when we're flushing hydrants, things like that,
Understand.
that we understand.
I mean, that's a low area.
Right.
Like you
But-
say, that it's the closest to the house.
They're not the closest to the house.
But
Would
water
it-
goes from the
but-
well
would
to
it
the
change
tower.
things too if,
Possibly.
cause that line going down that way then and up into Jamestown is a deadhead line.
Yes.
Would there be the possibility of finishing the loop?
Finishing the loop from Deer Ridge Run to Fox Hollow would possibly help. Would have to maybe do a computer on it, but that section of Main and Oak Street from the Well House Drive to the Four Corners is, there's one piece of pipe. And when the well comes on, it pushes water out towards the tower. When the well's shut off, the water flows from the tower. So that section of pipe, the water is always, it's changing
And this is the same
directions.
issue that we're gonna have if we flush it out to Stock Road too, correct? Because they can't do a full circle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead end line out there, yeah.
Is there any way you can check with some of the engineers or what, to see if finishing that loop might change some of the issues too, you know?
Yeah, I would have to imagine that.
It's just me remembering where, you know, things that,
Yeah, because once it gets to the Four Corners, there's three, I guess, ways of flow, mains that are loops. through
I
the
get it
neighborhood.
once in a very great while. But,
Can I ask a question? You talked about how it could be possible, I'm at 3931 North Oak, right next door to Amber, have the same issues. I don't know outside of, washing dishes, we don't use the water because it's that bad. But my question is, you made a statement that in that area, there could be a pipe that dips down and goes
Water main-
back up.
The water main itself may be, when it's laid in, it may have a belly in it, or a dip, or it just goes through a low spot and then back up.
But
All
couldn't
through
that,
town, it's up and down, so. But yeah, it could be the iron settling out in that belly of the pipe,
Is there any way to check for that?
to excavate it.
So no.
I mean, we could call it a hydro.
Well, I know, but I keep thinking
I'd
of the
rather spend the
cost.
money on a filtering
Right.
system or something
Right,
like that.
I would rather do that, I mean, the cost that is costing us a month in bottled water and filtered water and everything else just to go on, because we won't drink the water.
Well, I mean, not only that, we're running our water
Try and flush it.
to
try and flush
and we're
it.
still paying
I'm
for that water
home
that
all
we're not
day.
using.
I'm home all day, running water, flushing toilets, and it's still like that.
We've cleaned out the toilet tanks, we've cleaned out the water softener.
Correct.
Put all new stuff in, did the
Correct.
iron out and everything,
Correct.
and just today, we had the
Correct.
brown water in our toilets again. Now, I know Amber said we're just seeing it in our toilets, but we have a black kitchen sink, we have black fixtures.
Yeah,
So, and we use RO water, we put in a reverse osmosis for drinking, so we could drink our own water. But we're not, you know, when we do see it, we are seeing it in the bathtub, we're seeing it in the toilet, because those are where we have the white porcelain. But we're on the opposite side, across the street from Amber, which I'm
Water mains
assuming
on your
is
side of the
different.
street.
What was that?
Water mains on your side of the street.
It's on the
Yeah.
side of the street?
Yeah, it's on that.
Where was the fire hydrants are at, is where the water main is.
So we don't ever see it as severe as Amber. Ours always seems to be more diluted, but it's just, it's so intermittent.
Well, council, what do you think? Have them try to put together a price on a filtering system?
Yes.
And hopefully get well number one back online, maybe that would even help change the
What's the cost of that?
What's it saying in your packet?
200 and some.
Close to free.
Now,
Well, the new well probably cheaper.
Your report says price estimate from Peerless Midwest replacing well number one. The recommendation was to replace it, cost of $220,820. And then FUB went on to say, feel it would be best to consult with an engineer to develop a request for proposal.
Now, Peerless has stated that they can engineer it, they can pull the legal permits, they have an engineer, everybody else on staff. To put all the eggs in one basket to Peerless, unfortunately it is, they're the only ones that actually been responsive to me, so that's who we go.
What do other villages do for the city water? Who do they use?
As far as their, I'm not really.
And this side of the state, it's Peerless Midwest or Northern well. Northern is nothing. They would be my second guess. When about a year and a half ago, when I called Northern for an estimate to do the pull and inspect, and he said he estimated the previous pull and inspect, which was about 10 years prior. He said, well, I estimated you to pull and inspect a few years ago and you went with Peerless. Why am I gonna bother giving you a quote again? Thank you, have a nice day. So,
Because there's only a couple companies in the area that.
They're big enough to do
the
it,
big,
big enough equipment to do it.
there was a third company, they've kind of cut back, Brown Drilling. They don't handle the larger municipal wells, and they're still in business doing residential wells, but they're not how.
So, nothing against you, Brian, at all, but your company is aware of this, and they have agreed with everything that you are telling us our options are. Because I know when we talked before, we said we'd let Brian here and someone else is boss, so I just wanna make sure that that's our only options.
Let's look into the
Filter system?
design and installation of a filter system for our project, because we have to do something. So we need to, start the ball rolling.
yeah,
That needs to be a motion?
not just to get a quote.
Yeah, I mean, not to get, it doesn't
Give
have
the
to.
engineering and an estimate, and then we'll,
Is it fair to say that's the consensus
understand the issue, and I know it's been a long time coming, but I'm
Very
trying to track
frustrating.
down the bases and
Very, very frustrating.
find
So
us.
thank you guys.
Seems like it started all happening when one of the ones, well, number one was down on it. I don't know why that would make a difference.
What's happening before that? Notices, people telling them what.
Of course, you gotta remember how many years some of that pipeline's been in, and, you know, when it sags, it starts building up. It's taken me quite a few years to build up, trying to get
Well,
rid of it.
73, 74 that was installed,
Yeah.
I recall
I
correctly.
think the print says 76, so that might have been the final. One finish.
Filter system's gonna straighten a lot of, it's still gonna have to be flushed to get rid of what's already there, but at least stop adding more to it. We can hopefully get rid of the problem.
Okay.
I guess the nice thing is iron is really our only, well, the hardness, water's hard, but, iron's fairly easy to filter. It's not like arsenic or some of the other heavy metals, which thankfully we don't have those issues.
Maybe not one way to maybe get something going on it.
We gotta start somewhere,
Yep.
let's get started.
Thank you, council.
Okay.
I guess any other questions?
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Good job.
No, so that's for this month.
Head on the back, kick you out.
We'll move on to the last public time.
I'll go. Thanks for not answering my question, Bill Holden or Brian. Noted. You're not going to answer my questions. So,
I'm sorry, Mike, but I was addressing the council, not you specifically.
well, but I'm a resident and I asked a question, and you were leasing land that belongs to all of us.
Okay, we don't talk
So-
to other members of the public if you're
Sorry.
to address.
Well, I
the
was,
council.
okay, then I'll say, I asked questions, I hoped they would be answered, and they were not. And actually I go to a lot of municipalities, Tina, so I know that it's typical to ask questions of applicants of things, so. In some of your packets, they didn't all print, but I listened to a really interesting podcast this weekend about reactants, so react, A-N-C-E. And that concept, and so I shared that with you because that's a lot of what goes on here in this village, I think. That people think that, by saying we shouldn't have things on the side, vehicles on the sidewalk, people shouldn't be parking on the sidewalk, we shouldn't have golf carts out after dark, but by the way, there were over 21 incidents I reported of golf carts out after dark. And I'm taking away everyone's freedom when in actuality it was never their legal freedom. And they've always been endangering folks. And I've got some photos in here. I encountered one well after dark, no lights on. So those are the photos to go along. A lot of incidents this month, over 30, and that's even like grouped some of them together. So, gosh, this went on and on and on. 5 golf carts on the rail trail, which is for pedestrians, right? It says authorized vehicles only. And by the way, is that now a parking lot? Is that a parking lot during the concerts? Because I'm pretty sure I saw Tina park down there one day.
I think
And there
we're
have
parking
been.
on private property.
It is also
I park on Rich Shankle's property.
access to Shanklin
Yeah,
property,
right.
which is supposed to be
Okay.
a roadway. so
But what
that-
you did, in my opinion, was set an example for all those people. There have been dozens of vehicles down there. And when Mark Frank applied to do a special event here, the council grilled him and told him, no, that's got to stay open for police and fire access. But then we have people parking down there, so that's interesting.
That was more for Metamora days.
For that.
No, for that event, but gosh, if it's got to be open for that, doesn't it have to be open all the time? So, interesting. John, please just stop smoking near doors, man. I know you see that as me impeding your freedom. I want the freedom to be able to walk through an area without encountering secondhand smoke that causes me problems. And it's not just me. There's a huge percentage of the population that also encounters it. I know you don't get it, but really please. Go, just like every other business, go 50 feet, 100 feet away. I want to remind everybody that,
Well, in the middle of the parking lot, right?
well, not anywhere where I'm parking. Can you go over to the corner?
I don't
So-
know, when you dress up, it's hard to tell where you're parked at.
So when we talk about the water extension, I just want to remind everybody that there are other options. There's not just what our lawyers tell us. Perhaps we need different lawyers for this. This has been going on for years and years and years. Maybe other lawyers would approach it differently. Maybe we could get somewhere. And by the way, the karma of this, the karma of letting this go on and on and on and on, when we are next, as I've said before, we are next. We are so close to the Superfund site. And Mr. Denny may say, well, there's a lagoon in between. Mr. Denny doesn't understand groundwater. I ran that statement by an expert. We are next. So in one of your complaints, I was going through some of the footage I took last year on my dash cam driving through, and I had forgotten how much snow fence gets put up in the park during Metamora days. We don't use that in Event World. Do you know why? I talked to a paramedic event expert recently, and he mimed right away when I told him that there are steel rods out there. He mimed a rod going into somebody because he says, you have balloons out there. If there's some kind of malfunction with the balloon or anything goes wrong, it can go right through somebody's body. It's a bad idea anyway. This is what we use in the event world. And the reason we use this is because you can take it apart really fast. It's very effective. You just rent it. It's super simple to use. Marci Kinkade, you put up some photos in Metamora, Michigan, gang, of the concert. And I noticed that pointedly it was folks in wheelchairs. And I gotta tell you, it seemed to me to be making a point, and it seemed to several friends of mine to be making a point. And if that is what you were doing and you didn't ask those people permission to use their photos to make that point, I am offended. So well, here's the thing. I took an ADA class this month. Have any of you ever taken it?
Sorry, your time's up.
I would suggest all of you take an ADA class. And Tina, I should never have to FOIA an ADA notice. Thank you.
Thank you. Report. Any other public time?
Hi, my name's Ellie Perry. I reside in the township. I will not be disclosing my address due to people stalking us. I do not feel comfortable coming to meetings, putting my address on paperwork due to people walking up in the middle of the time to take pictures of the sign-in sheets, along with videotaping, along with people disclosing their addresses. I find that that is a violation of people's rights, and that should be forbidden.
Stephanie Burmeister, 3926 North Oak. Tina, you did say that the issues going on with the water primarily were kind of in our area on Oak Street. I was just wondering if there was any way to maybe throw it out there, if there was a survey, like, hey, is anyone else having this issue? Or if we kind of know, because of what Brian said at the well, that the irons probably everyone, I know the squeaky wheel gets the oil, but I'm just trying to see if maybe it's more of a widespread problem that people aren't really bringing to your attention or bringing to anyone's attention, or?
I mean, I know I live on that end of town, I don't have issues, I mean, I've just kind of asked around a couple people, I haven't done any formal survey.
I've never had any problems yet either. I just live on
So it's our
High Street.
No, it's us.
I'm not far off from where it all branches out. It all comes up from your street to the corner. One goes straight, one goes, and they go three different directions off the corner. So I'm up on the High Street branch, but I'm only 100 feet off the corner, so, but I've not had any problems over there.
And
I do have-
most of it.
And I do have a water softener.
Hey, you're welcome. Take one for the team, guys. Love you.
I guess if you're done your public time.
Yes, thank you.
I'll just take a quick second. You guys have my cell phone number? Can you give me a call, text me when you notice it, and I'll start tracking.
Okay.
I can get it to you. No
Yeah,
problem.
Okay.
that'd be great.
That'd be
I've
great.
got some cards in the call.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing is I wanted to mention is the water tower is being inspected in September. Don't have an exact date yet, it's supposed to be the second week, they're telling me, until they give me the final, they've got their stuff together. So once that's, that'll be a couple days of draining the tower and having the coating inspected. But going back a year, I guess, was a thought, maybe the coating is starting to come apart of the tower, but I don't really, I think that would be a minor spread issue with irons. It's the first inspection since it was painted.
thing, real quick. I just wanna say, as, we all live in the village, obviously, and, or spend time in it and take a part in it, and, that there is, certain things that, like the water issue that, need to, be remediated, or certain things that pop up over time, that sort of thing. But I think, at least I know, I love living here and being here, I think you guys probably do too, so along with the bad or the bad things that do happen, I think there's a lot of good to celebrate. So I just wanna put that out there, that I think everybody here, obviously, is here for the greater good, and, that hopefully, everybody can, acknowledge it, and we can work through the hard things, but then celebrate the good things and, enjoy those as well, so.
Thank you.
More public time.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, please.
Move second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Come more days, it's done.
When's your,
So that's it.
You excited?
It's gonna be stuff.